disabled.
Okay.
So
All
I think
right.
everything
So I guess
is.
we start with Miss Janet. We start.
Yes.
You know, I wanted to know, Miss Janet, like when I hear the word move, because I literally watched it play out on the news, and I was young, like, but I'm like, oh, y'all do that? Yeah, Philadelphia does that. When you hear the word move in the bombing, like, what plays in your head?
When I hear the word move and the bombing,
And the
what plays in
bombing.
my head is the murder of our innocent family by the city of Philadelphia and all the wrong and injustice that they've done to us for the last, how many years is it been?
Almost 50 years.
Almost 50 years now since
Almost.
MOVE has come above ground. MOVE started out demonstrating and protesting against this system for the wrong, the brutality of people. We were fighting for the rights of animals, fighting for the rights of women, fighting for the rights of children, fighting for the right for clean air, clean water, clean soil. We fought against the judges, the injustice of this system. And when MOVE did that, this system got mad at us. They don't want people seeing what this system really is, what it represents. And when you get out there and start putting out information and exposing this system, they do everything they can to stop you. At the time when MOVE started this and we started putting out information, the government used the news media in their hip pocket to say derogative and lying things about MOVE. They said we were dirty. They said we were just raising dogs in our yard. They said we were crazy, maniacal. They said all these different things about MOVE to get people discouraged about us, because the fight that we was doing was not just for MOVE, it was for everybody. Because when you're fighting against injustice, you're fighting for all of life. And when we did this, this is why MOVE has demonstrated, protested against this government for all the injustice they have done, and this is why MOVE has been beat, arrested, had bails over millions of dollars, because what they wanted to do was shut us up. As long as this system can put out a facade to make it look like it's right, to suck people into it, to follow them, then they're okay. But as soon as you speak the truth about this system, then they want to lock you up. They want to beat you up. They want to put you in jail. They want to drop a bomb on you, murder your kids, because they want to stop the message from getting out to people. And like I said, in doing that, when they put out these derogative things about MOVE, these lies about MOVE, what they wanted to do was convince people, well, look, this is how they are. So they deserve getting bombed. They deserve getting beat. They deserve going to jail. When that was not the case at all. The case was that this system had the so-called power to convince people that MOVE was wrong and they was right, that we was breaking the law and they were lawful. But you got to understand, every beating, every jailing, every bit of injustice that's not just done to MOVE, but done to black people, done to poor whites, Puerto Ricans, is done through the sanctioning of this system. And this is what MOVE was telling people, that we are out there to make people aware of what's going on. We put ourselves out as an example to show people this is what they do to you when you stand up against this system. MOVE was not wrong. We were right for fighting against this system. But the system chose to make people think that MOVE was wrong. And this is how all of our confrontations with the police, with the fire department, with the politicians, everybody that we confronted, this is always how it went. They made it look like we were the ones wrong. We were the ones that was causing the problem, when in fact, every single thing that goes on in this world, every bit of crime, every bit of pollution, every bit of war is sanctioned by this very government that want to lock us up for protecting people. It comes from this system. MOVE didn't invent this system. This system invented. And everything that you see, every law, every bit of brutality, every bit of slavery, was sanctioned by this government. People got to stop and ask themselves, where did all of this come from? How are they allowed to pollute our water? How are they allowed to beat, murder our brothers when we see it ourselves and they tell you don't believe your lying eyes? How is this system able to do that? Because this system has got people's minds so wrapped up that they feel that they can do this stuff and get away with it because they've been doing it for years. But people, move stood up. We need everybody to stand up, take a stand, look at what's going on. Don't become a slave to this system. Don't endorse the industries of this system, because that is what's causing all the imbalance, all the dissatisfaction that people are feeling. People need to realize that this system wants to enslave you. And if you don't want to become a slave to the system, you have to understand what it means to be free. You have to be free from a system that locks you in to their mentality of what freedom is. They tell you you have freedom of speech, but the minute that you begin speaking freely against the government, against this system, then they want to lock you up for it. So where is the freedom? Yeah, you're free to speak freely about what they want you to speak about, but as soon as you start speaking about the wrongs of this system, then you ain't free to speak no more. Then you get beat up, then you get locked up, then you get put in jail like Move did. And this is how all this started with Move, because we had the strength from our founder, John Africa, to stand up and go against this system, fight against this system, expose this system, that we were arrested and locked up for these things that happened. Then it moved on to May 20th.
Okay. So, a question I wanted to ask. So, when all of these things were happening, and I agree with a lot of things that you just said, and these are some of the things that I repeat over and over again about the system wanting to entrap people. So today you have some of these groups that are calling themselves progressive groups, liberal groups, and they're talking about the injustices of minorities, as you will. They're talking about the system being corrupt. Do you think that because it was black people speaking about these things against the government, that the ills happen to your organization, your family, and to other blacks that talk about this, as opposed to these white liberal groups?
Oh, most definitely. Racism has not gone anywhere. You know, John Africa explained that what they did was they just put on a different face, but the racism still exists. And the mentality of this system has always been that blacks are less than human, have no rights. And you see how they did. They used that to justify slavery. Well, slavery has not gone anywhere, because they're trying to say that black people are free, but when you look at it, look at the ghettos. They're just like the plantation living quarters for the slaves. That's what your ghettos are. You know, the slavery mentality is still there, and any minority that dares to raise up and say something against the plantation owner, they're going to lynch them like they did back in the day. I mean, look at it. When you look on TV today, they are executing these blacks in the streets right in front of your face and are not apologetic about it, not even trying to justify it. They're just making that one standard excuse. I felt threatened. I thought he had a gun. But they don't care. They are going in those streets and they are shooting down black people, not even just black men, black children, black women. You know, that one example, that woman was in her car having a seizure. They shot her 42 times in her car, because that's how they feel about blacks. Racism has not gone anywhere. And the groups that are complaining, they're meeting with that resistance absolutely because they're black. They don't like it when white people do it either, but they go about handling them differently. Differently, but you know, when they was having all those marches and things like that, the whites that were supporting the blacks, they would take them side roads. They disappear. You never see them again. They don't like it when whites take up for blacks and speak against injustices either. But it's just that racism is so bad. They don't care how they kill black people in the streets now. Just like you just could walk down the street back in the 40s and 50s and 60s and see a black body hanging from a tree and nothing thought about it. It's the same thing now, except now it's on TV. You know, but it shouldn't be. I don't want people to be discouraged because just like those black slaves had to keep fighting to get out of that crystallized slavery, and how the blacks had to keep fighting to get so-called equal rights, people have to keep fighting because if you don't, it's like John Africa say, you don't get anywhere if you don't fight to get that hell up off of you. And people have got to keep fighting, and we're not talking about picking up guns and violence. We're talking about being focused, united, and knowing that you're right and pushing those issues and putting pressure on this system to make them do what's right.
Do you think, Brother Africa, do you think that black people have a place in politics? And if so, do you think that they can shed light on the issues that black Americans deal with?
Whatever position that they take, politics, whatever, as long as what they're saying is right, it'll work. Because we have been put on the front line. Everybody doesn't have to do that. You can do other ways that you can do to make things right. So, what I would tell you is that if you're fighting to make things better, I don't care how you put it out and where you are when you put it out. You know what I mean? Because your children, my children, they're in danger. And we have to realize that because what they'll do, kill your child, throw some money at you and expect you to just say, okay, everything is cool.
Like
But it's not.
reparations that they're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, but it's not. So what I would tell you, whatever you're doing, just do it the best you can. You know what I mean? And keep in mind and understand that what makes things move is unity. You don't have to have the same religion, you don't have to have the same color. But if we're going in the same direction, we get stronger.
See, and people are so discouraged these days because of everything that's going on, of the years and centuries of politicians, that they don't trust them because they don't show a true example. See, that's the difference with John Africa's teaching and Move and these politicians. The example that they have seen from Move has been consistent. Me, Janine, and Eddie just got out of jail for doing 41 years for a crime we didn't commit. And that example that we set in prison is like the same example we set in the street. But people are always look at these politicians and they don't see them as being committed. They don't see them as being loyal because they will say one thing out of one side of their mouth and another thing out of the other side of their mouth when it comes to dealing with people that are higher politicians than them. And I'm not saying that all of them do that because a lot of politicians start out with a good heart and a good mind and want to make a change. But most of them that I've seen or that I've met have caved in, just like the police have caved in. I mean, they want to make a difference. But once they get around those demons, once they get around that bad influence, once they get around people that don't really care, that are just there so they can make decisions about your life, about my life, then they just give up. But people have to trust you, whether you're a politician, whether you're a beautician, whether you're a Move member, and people do trust us because of that example we set. And we will continue to set that example. And we want all these politicians to know, or all these ones that are voting for politicians to know, Put your credentials out there. Where's that trust? Where's that example that Move has shown that you really care about me, that you want to teach me, that you want to show me what I can do to protect myself from a government, a system that is just annihilating our people. You know what? And not just get up there and talk and sound good, but where is the evidence of it? We lost our family May 13th, 1985. They gave their lives for this revolution. And that's not been in vain because we will not give up fighting. And on May 13th, my daughter, our family was in that house, 11 MOVE members. They dropped the bomb and murdered 11 MOVE members and our animals. Not because they was guilty of any crime. They didn't even have misdemeanor warrants. But they dropped that bomb because they wanted to shut us up. Our family on May 13th, 1985 had been demonstrating, protesting for years about the crime that MOVE was locked up for. We got locked up in 1978 on Poughton Village when they came out to our house to evict us. And in trying to evict us, they shot water cannons, they shot bullets, they shot smoke, gas into our house. And what happened was when they started shooting those bullets in the crossfire, they shot and killed their own cop and then blamed MOVE for it. We were in the basement of our house, 6 feet below ground level. They were above ground. The officer that got killed, James Ramp, was shot in the back of the head and the bullet traveled downward, making it impossible for MOVE to have shot that cop. 9 of us were convicted of the death of one cop, and we got sentenced 30 to 100 years. Now, how can 9 people be guilty? 1 gun, 1 bullet. How can 9 people be guilty of that? Unless you are saying 9 people put their finger on the trigger, then what are you saying? Come on, people, wake up. They did this. They framed us to send us to jail, to shut us up. That's how desperate this system is to quiet MOVE. They don't want people following MOVE. They don't want people following our example or seeing what MOVE is about. They want people thinking those crazy things that they've always said about MOVE. And that's the reason why we were in jail. That's the reason why they dropped that bomb and murdered our family, because they want to stop this revolution. They want to stop people from thinking for themselves, for seeing this system for what it is, and take back their freedom that this system is taking from them.
Mr. Eddie, let me ask you, because you're sitting here all nice and quiet. Do tell. Give us a little synopsis of who you are. How did you get involved into being a part of the 9? Were you originally an original member of the 9?
My brother and my cousin brought me to New York. At the time, I was someone that hated white people, and because I had been dogged all my life, and they brought me to MOVE. So when I came to MOVE, and I saw that they had white members, I backed away. Only because of there were white people there. But I couldn't stay away, so I kept come, listen, leave, come back, listen, leave. And John Africa told me, he said, you talking about there being a revolution, but you only talking about revolution for black people. And he asked me, he said, if every black person in this country was to involve themselves in revolution, what are you going to do with the white people, or the Spanish, or the Oriental? So all you're going to do is, black people are going to be going one way and they're going another, which means the problem don't get solved. From that point on, I began to come around, and I began to work to understand what John Africa was telling me. Now, I understand now. At the time, I didn't. I thought that if all white people were dead, everything would be right. But that wasn't no answer. That was just. I was trying to be like one of them, because that's what they think. kill all black folks and everything be right. And that's where I was coming from, but just trying to reverse it. But I'm a move member now. And I believe that there's only one direction, one people, and one way. And this is the revolution that John Africa is pushing. And that's what I want to be a part of, and that's what I intend to be a part of.
So I have to your left, across from me, Pam Africa. I had the pleasure of meeting this young lady like years ago, just out doing her protesting. I stayed at distance because I didn't know her, but her vibe was like, oof. I'm like, okay, I like her. Like she was just that person. She was approachable, and I liked that about her. And she was out there serving the less fortunate. You called the homeless. I liked that, and I was like, okay. And then eventually, over a period of time, I wound up going to one of her little protesters. No disrespect, not little, one of her protesters. I went out and I connected again, and one thing led to another. I was like, I gotta have her on. Like I literally have to have her on. And then I got hit with, can I bring y'all on? And I'm like, sure, why not? Because I've talked so much about colorism, colorism, and something to what you were saying. Not liking. It's not that I didn't like white people. I felt growing up, I'm like, oh, y'all can't talk bad about white people because they're not gonna like us. Not realizing that they didn't like us, and they were turning us against us for so long. But it took me a very long time to get to where I'm at. To where, okay, I'm proud to be the color I am. I'm grateful to be the color I am because it says that we are the originators. Okay. But moving forward, Pam, I call her mom. But moving forward, how did you become a part of the move, and why are you so adamant about this? Because your passion is just through the roof. I mean, it goes past the heavens and beyond.
Yes, it did. It really did. My privilege to meet family Africa, Ghana, Africa. On, I didn't always like movies. In fact, prior to May 20th of 1977, when we took a defensive stand against this government, this entire government, I lived down the street from them. May 19th, I can care less about a Malcolm X. It was just a word for me. And moved down the street. I lived down the street a few years before the first time I saw a move, I'll never forget. And I'm telling you, crazy, crazy, crazy. I'm talking about me. And we were coming from a Rizzo dinner where his friends of mine bought me tickets to go. And I had no problem with that. So that was stone crazy, okay? Just like being invited, a black person being invited to a Bush dinner. Bush or what's that other name? Yeah, him, 45. But I remember the first time I saw him, we was turning into the block, and they said, slow your car down. And then I was talking about the children, around there, right? And I was reading a book, and I happened to look up, and I saw this guy. Then later on, I found out his name was Jerry Africa. No, it couldn't have been Jerry. He had this hair, looked like it was clumps coming, out. And I was like, what the heck is that? And he had a hatchet over his back. They was chopping wood, right? And all I saw was looked up and saw this big brother and I was terrified. I was terrified. I was really terrified when I saw him. And but that's that syndrome that they put on us. And all I saw was a black man saying, watch out for the children. And when I looked up, he was tall, he was black, he had hair like I never seen before, and it was like, oh my God. Well, I was moving into the house down the street from Catacomb from me. And I saw him, and my father moved in with me, and we used to laugh about the mop heads on the corner, right? And they were always getting locked up. I could care less at that point if they were getting locked they would be taking them off this truck like it was nothing. They were scrubbing their clothes, sweeping the street, and they also used to shovel people payment, and the media was saying that these people was crazy on the corner. I didn't want to have no conversation with them because I was a reach behind, of course, and high heels, long fingernails and stuff. And I told you that I went to the Rizzo dinner, so that speaks a lot for who I was and who they were. And said, I don't want to be nothing like them, and didn't want to hear anything that they were saying. They used to sell a newspaper, the Tribune. People used to come by, trying to sell the paper, and I didn't want to hear nothing they had to say. And in fact, I didn't want them on my steps, because it was just outrageous to me. And one day, my niece picked up the paper and she kept saying, "Oh," she said, "you can read." She said, "These people on that corner, they really saying something. You need to read this." I refused to read it. May 20th of 1977, sitting on my steps, there was a group called the Three Ps. They worked with Penny Gamble, and we were sitting on the steps, because one thing that I found later, the birds used to sing. Oh my God, the songs of the birds and stuff, around there was just beautiful. This Sunday morning, this Friday, I think it was, we were sitting on the steps with a recording because they wanted the sound of the birds in the background. So we sitting on the steps smoking wacky weed. Yeah, smoking wacky weed. And the brothers were singing. And we had to turn and look, and I saw a person with a rifle, some kind of weapon, long, walking like this. And was it you? Anyway, and I went to turn to tell the people that was with me, and they wasn't there because what was happening, you couldn't see them because they was walking. One would go this way and the other one would go that way, and they were saying, "Get out of here." And then we saw the other one appear, and it was like, wow, what is the mopheads up to, right? Instead of us running the other way, we came up to the corner and sat there and we was listening. Now, I had a peek. My next door neighbor was a white communist, and she was trying to tell me that move was cool. And I'm looking like, this chick is out her mind. Ain't nothing cool about them. I had a family who lived across the street from me who was brought here, was brought to Africa, stayed in England for a while, and then, moved here. And she was a Rizzoite. She liked Rizzo. And I wanted to be her. Didn't want to hear what this woman was saying about them, my kids on the corner. But as it turns out, on May 20th of 77, the media was saying, like Janice said, they was filthy, they was dirty, they never worked, and they don't work, and every kind of story that there was, and I'm living down the street watching them scrub clothes every day. Watching them, part of my thing is, they got them brooms, they're always sweeping. They had a car wash. Cars was always lined up in front of their house on the other side of the street going into another block. A lot of the politicians, a lot of radio personalities and things was coming to move, and all I seen them as the nuisance on the corner, and they used to be having food up there. They used to be, what the heck want to eat from them? Was my position. And I'm not seeing anything filthy, I'm not seeing anything wrong, but I'm being told what I see. And that came from Channel 10, Channel 6, Channel 17, 29, all of them. The Daily News, the Enquirer. I didn't read the Tribune, really, and because I didn't have no thing about reading black newspapers, and they didn't have nothing in there for me, okay? So, when this confrontation kicked off, they were saying the neighbors didn't like them either. So I was one of them neighbors that didn't like them either because they said we didn't like them, They hadn't done nothing to me. But when that confrontation kicked off and they started talking, I didn't want to hear nothing they had to say, before brought in, but all of a sudden, whatever they was, what they were talking about, it captured me, and it was like it was going inside, and I can hear every word. I can see things, and what was happening. The neighbors, when they was coming out, I'm looking for them to come and be like me. I was waiting for the cops to come to arrest me. I really was. I was waiting for the cops to come to arrest me because they had done that so many times before. So I'm sitting there now listening. And the neighbors is saying, yeah, move, don't bother nobody. And the neighbors that was in the building on the corner, the apartment building on the corner, they were coming out. And a man and his wife was talking about how you helped them, because he said they used to fight. And he said he used to beat this girl up thoroughly. It was Moon who taught him how to be a man and treat his wife. And they were out there every day, the white neighbors in the neighborhood. I'm not saying everybody was for Moon. And I'm thinking that nobody is for Moon. And I'm seeing the majority of the people, Moon got rifles on one corner. The police is at this point, they don't mind killing, but they don't want to be killed. They knew their history of Moon. And all of a sudden, he has moved people on this platform with weapons. I'm watching them cop cars, stop, and then they would speed on by. And I'm like, oh, shucks, I'm getting me a better seat here so I can see what's going on. Run back down the house, give me another little piece, sitting up there watching and hearing about Move and the demonstrations at places like Puppy Palace and where, first we was explaining about the slavery and and they were saying that, that people out here was enslavers and they was talking about we had that, murder mentality and stuff. And I'm like, hey, not me. And when they broke it down, when they was talking about how, we had that thing about locking up all life and stuff. When you go to Puppy Palace, that's like where now is the pet stores and stuff in big places where they enslave snakes, where they enslave fish, and because the ocean is where these things, fish is supposed to be. And the birds in the cages, I never seen it before. I used to go there and, play with them and stuff, go look at the snake cage, all that, going and just having me a good time, not understanding. And what I was looking at, this was enslaved life. This was a life that was taken from all over the world and put in these cages for our amusement. And they really made it to the point that it was crystal clear, because when they talked about bringing, like in Puppy Palace, when you would go to get a dog, you want to see the eyes, make sure the eyes is good, make sure the teeth is strong. You want to see a strong body and stuff. That's exactly how they did blacks when we were brought over here, when we were snatched out of Africa and at gunpoint, and we wasn't slaves, we were free people that was captive and brought over here and given the name slaves, and but that's what they did to us. We was put on an auction block, and people came in and looked to see, and another thing with puppies, you want to know, is it a good breeder? Can it, you want to sell these babies that they have? And so you seeing things this fast, and understanding what it was they were saying. The zoo, I remember when they was demonstrating, the elephants was coming down the street, and here they had moved the monkeys, they added again. The zoo, Puppy Palace, you're there. This was before I found out what I was actually looking at. The zoo, when the elephants was coming down the street, Move used to demonstrate against them and stuff. And all I'm saying, these people are crazy. And but what they was explaining was about the torture. I never gave a damn about the torture of an elephant. And prior to that, to that day, I didn't care about anything that Move was talking about prior to that day. I'm gonna tell you who I was. You remember Attica? When they went in, they killed all them brothers and stuff. And I didn't think that they killed enough of them in that day, in that time. You remember when Kent State happened? And remember the girl that was standing there with the body laying all around? And the girl was like this on her knees, like what? When I came in and it was on TV, I licked the channel. Didn't mean nothing to me. They was talking about the wholeness. I'm not saying everybody is like that, but I was accepted within the community as somebody who had some sense and somebody that was going somewhere. I was going further and further insane until May 20th of 77 when I found out what I'm looking at. The elephant that's going down the street when they tapped him with that
That
that pride, and they was actually electrocuted. And you know, when you look at the elephant in the zoo, and not in the zoo, in the circus, when they had that foot up and they tapped that elephant, and the dude got his head up under him, and you know, it's not because he loved that man, and it was behind the fact that he knew if he dropped that foot, they would be electrocuted some more. You seeing torture, the animals that have died there. And I used to have a fish tank, and all kinds of fish, beautiful fish, got them for my sons. And we would forget to feed them sometime, or they would overfeed them sometime. Didn't see this as life. And I would just scoop it up, throw it in the toilet, and get them another one. And they wasn't taught to see this as life. And they would do the exact same thing. And what I learned that day, and through the years, you know, about caring and understanding, you know, life and seeing, you know, dogs and cats and, you know, other forms of life. And, you know, it's just that. And when you see the puppy, you see, you know, in puppy palace and it's in the sun on some mesh wire. And, you know, little puppies and they cuddled up in the corner and you're trying to tap on it to make it, you know, do something for you. And you're looking at a baby who has been separated from his mother, separated from his father, separated from, you know, the rest of the family. And then, you know, we be talking about how it felt when, you know, these things are done to us. And, you know, the same way they treat, you know, our brothers and sisters, and we fight that battle alongside of them. And what do they call them? I'm not talking about Mexicans. What do they call them? Not aliens.
Immigrants.
They put names, you know, on them. The immigrants put names on other people. And but John Africa did do that. And when I saw that, I had a lesson that day that just got inside here and just never went anywhere, and it just kept growing and growing and growing and growing. And what's more, I it was a time that you shared. I shared so much that day. I felt so bad because on March 16th of 1976, when they killed these babies, 3 baby life African.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, I wasn't in tune to that. And you know, I much rather believe that they were lying on the corner. And I saw them with the babies breastfeed, and back then I'm like, look, check since 1977, you sitting on the side of a hill nursing, nursing the baby. Where's your Bible? Where's your Similac? Crazy. Didn't miseducated. But then that day they was explaining everything. The neighbors was talking about the goodness of moon and who they are, what they have been to them, the college students, all these white college students. When this confrontation kicked off, it wasn't only the black people that was in that, that came up here in 1977 to face it off with MOVE, with the police, and MOVE didn't want people involved. It was them and and the cops, because of the beatings, the maiming, the killings, and things. And then come to find out this was for us. This was for us, all that they went through. They was protesting about the air, the water. I learned that day, what they were saying. You had people, politicians talking about the Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act. And they said that's exactly what the hell it is. It's all an act. Because in order to get rid of pollution in the water, in order to get rid of pollution in the air, you have got to stop polluting. And and people not ready for that. And so you got to begin somewhere. And they before it was talking about the plastic and you know how dangerous plastic was. That Mama Earth will not accept this mess. It won't accept it. And you know, and everything that was given us was in plastic. And things that harmed us. It was so much about life. And politicians. I looked up to politicians. I looked up to judges. I told y'all we went to that monster, right? And then I wound up finding out the other ones were baby monsters. And so you know, I had a youth group. I was executive director of a youth group, and you know, and I had a lot of support through the city. And our things was getting our youth together and having a baseball tournament for them, raising money, getting baseball suits. And in the wintertime it was football, you know, these kind of things, and like we're giving something.
So, do you think that, and anyone can answer this question, that a lot of the programs that you mentioned back then, they're still doing it today? Do you think that's a way to keep us in a bubble?
Yes. Yes.
Well, and
That's right.
that, well, what it is, it's like when the people in certain areas complain about living conditions, and then the city officials will put a swimming pool in the neighborhood, and then everybody's happy, and a lot of the complaint dies down. That's in there, but the people that really care about the kids can use that, because the kids need something constructive. They need something to burn up that energy. And it doesn't matter what the officials' motive is, it's what you do with it. Because there's things here that people have to use because of the system we live in. But you have to have that understanding, and don't think that those things are the priority and that you can't live without it. They're just a tool that you need to help your kids, because I would rather see the kids playing baseball than sitting on the corner with nothing to do, and then they start looking at each other and say, hey, let's go over there and beat this old man up for fun. So if it's something that you can use to get where you're going, use it, but use it with the understanding that this is just a stepping stone so that I can get my kids off the streets, and don't look at it like, oh, they're so good to us, they're so great to us. No, they're trying to pacify people, to keep people quiet. That's why before we got locked up, there used to be a state store on every corner. And that's so that they could keep people intoxicated. When you're intoxicated, you don't care what's going on. And the same thing with all the diversions that they put in the poor neighborhoods. You know, the movie theaters and things, when they start getting rustling and getting dissatisfied and complaining, that's what the officials would do. You know, they would just throw something in there that would divert people and make them feel like, oh, see, we don't have it that bad. You know, so that I do feel like a lot of those programs, they give that to you because they tried to do that with Move. When we kept demonstrating, because that's what people don't understand, Move is not cop haters. Move was exposing the politicians that was claiming they were in that office to help the community, but they weren't. And so John Alka had us exposing
You
these
mean something like
politicians.
what's going on now?
Yeah. And what they did was they put the cops in between us and them. And that's how the involvement of the cops came about. Move was not out there talking about we hate cops. The cops came in there and they would jump us, beat us when we had the right to protest. We had the right to demonstrate. But when those politicians complained and called them cops, they came and did their dirty work. You know, and that's how all of that started. And that's what they did, was when they saw that those arrests and those jailings wasn't stopping us, they couldn't stop us, they tried to bribe us because they knew the work we wanted to do in the communities. So they would come to us after a while and say, you know, we can give you some federal funding. Didn't y'all want to get some houses for pregnant teens and all of that? And we looked at them and we said, yeah, we want to work in the community. That's our belief, but you're not going to use our belief to stop us. So in other words, if we shut up, you'll give us funding. And so we wouldn't go for it. And then that's when the attack escalated to the point where they were starting to kill our babies and everything.
So let me ask you this, because July 26th would have been Vincent Leapart, we all know him as John Africa's birthday. I'm gonna ask you all individually, what does John Africa mean to you then, and what does he mean to you now?
John Africa is the reason that I'm sitting here today strong with being able to give people information to help direct their lives. Before John Africa, I was a confused, unhappy, dissatisfied teenage mother, not knowing what I was going to do with myself. And I didn't care, like Pam said, I didn't care about who was mayor. I didn't care about any problems going on. I just was lost. And I happened to be coming down the street one day and hearing people on a loudspeaker, and it was moved. But what drew me to them more so than what they were saying was the fact that I saw these women, because I had never seen women, standing out front, being assertive and confident, confronting a police precinct for their brutality against the young black men. And because I was so unhappy with myself, when I saw these women being so strong, all I could think of was, I want to be like that. And it drew me to them, and they start inviting me to the study sessions. And when I started hearing the teaching of John Africa, I felt like I had come home and I had found the answer to all the problems that was bothering me, and that I actually had something to look at to see that, no, there is hope. I don't have to be like this. There is something else. And John Africa had made me so strong, made me a good mother, a good wife, a good sister, that gave me a family like I never had before. And I took that, and it nourished me, and I felt like I never felt in my life. And I would never give that up, no matter what the system come at us with. And John Africa's teaching is even stronger in me now today than it was in 1977. It's growing. They can't take that from me, no matter what they do, no matter what they say. They cannot take John Africa out of me.
When I came to move, I was a mess, disillusioned, miserable. I feel like this system robbed me of what I felt like I should have had. I mean, I was so cold, so dead, so insensitive. Nothing mattered. I didn't care about anything. You know, I was always just trying to escape from the days around me, the people around me. When I came and moved, and John Africa, I felt like John Africa has given me my life back that this system has taken from me. I have learned so much about life, so much about protection, so much about security because of John Africa. When we were talking about some of the things that John Africa did in the community, we would work with gang members. We worked with homeless people. We worked with women. We worked with children. I mean, I was given sensitivity that I never even knew I had. And when we talk about how we were moved by John Africa's teaching, when you hear John Africa's teaching, what it does is touch that instinct in you. The system is the one that calloused our instincts. John Africa's teaching touched that instinct in you and made you come alive, not according to the system standards, but according to life. And we started doing things related to life. We taught our children about life, not hurting life, protecting life. You know, people always talk about, well, what can we do about bullying? What can we do about racism? If everybody followed the teaching of John Africa and taught their children and worked themselves to be protective of the reverence of life that give us the breath we breathe in now, that give us the sight that we see, if everybody gave reference to that force of life, then there would be no bullying, there would be no sexism, there would be no racism, because all of us come from life. People wanted to know how it stops. Protect life. Revere the life that's filling your lungs this minute. Teach your children to revere that life. My brother, my sister, that is the meaning of life. That is the meaning of love, togetherness, peace, because that's where it starts. When you love life, you can't hate your brother. When you love life, you can't despise your sister. When you love life, you have to love all of life. And when people recognize that the force that allows us to breathe, that's allowing us to sit here and talk, is the force that connects all of us together, and people really believe and trust in that, then there would be peace. But in order for that, people have got to revere the life that's filling our lungs this instant. And when you do that, when you give respect to that reverence that's growing our food, that's filling our lungs, that's taking care of our children, then you will have that reverence for all of life. This is what moved belief is. Life. To protect life. To love life. And we are all a family. But in order for people really to feel the goodness of that life, that protection, is you have to work for life. When you go to a store to buy a product, when you get that product, you pay that person with some type of money or bartering, whatever you do, people pay for that. But people never stop to think that how about that air that's filling your lungs? Nature, mama, God, whatever you want to call it, is affording us that life. So if you can go to a grocery store, or if you can go to a department store and pay for the products that you buy from that store, we are obligated to pay life, to pay mama, to pay God for that air that's filling.
Okay, because we got a call. Billy Hott, you on the air? Talk to me. Hello? Billy Hott? Yes, Billy Hott, I'm listening.
What do I get to do? I get to give a shout out, or what do I get to do? I get to say, thank you, Tony, New York Radio,
Is this Craig? Did you have any questions for our guest?
Well, who's the guest tonight? The good brother that's up here,
You're away from the phone.
I'm sorry.
I have Janine Africa. I can't hear you.
40 years. Okay, yeah, what was like spending the 40 years in prison. My question is that I'm quite sure that he had a lot of brothers that was in the struggle with him, but at the same time in the struggle with him there. If there any like type of movement behind bars and working with beyond just business and other brothers that's in prison for just the struggle of freedom and just being able to maintain and be themselves and live in peace. Is there any other brothers in there that's behind that we can support and kind of fight for?
There are a lot of brothers and sisters still in them places.
Right, we know Mumia is there.
Oh yeah, you know what I mean, Delbert. There are thousands of brothers and sisters in them places that need to be home. You know what I mean? Our sons, our daughters, our brothers, our husbands and wives. Yeah, there's a lot of them in there. And
right.
when we came home, it's bittersweet because you're leaving friends.
That's right.
You know what I mean? But now the struggle doesn't stop. So even though I'm out here, I'm still fighting for them too.
Right.
You know what I mean? I haven't forgotten them.
I was calling in basically.
You breaking up, caller.
As far as that's been done already.
You breaking up.
chronological order of what was going on versus just the actual move instances. I think that would be more instrumental in fighting the fight.
Well,
Yourself as a producer.
keep this in mind. The fight never stops, whether you in here, whether you in jail or you on the street. While we were in jail, we didn't stop speaking out. You understand? When we saw brothers and sisters in there being abused, we spoke out. And so we do the same thing out here. Because those people that are in jail, we understand because we've experienced it. So when we come home, we're not going to forget them. You understand? So the same thing that I'm telling you, I tell them. I still have contact with them brothers and sisters. So you do your work. And then you try to bring them home with you.
Right. So what projects are you working on as far as like media wise?
They said,
Songs, albums, music, anything?
they're saying, so are you guys,
The movement?
are you, what?
Any movement.
Like any movement projects, like media, social media?
Oh, well,
Like far as like not just social media, but more like music, film,
Books.
production, something.
well,
Project like an album, you know what I mean?
there's a lot of people right now that's contacting us.
Pete, I think that's
Hold on, caller.
Yeah.
They're answering the question.
music around situation,
There's a lot of people they're interested in movies and books and things like that. And, we're not putting them off. We're just telling them that right now our focus is on getting our brother Delbert out and fighting for Mumia's life in that prison. So, and right now a lot of our time is being tied up with speaking to everybody because, see, this is part of the work also. We have a lot of people that want to know our story, want to hear the teaching of John Africa. So we are really busy trying to get to everybody we can that's interested and talking to them. But the things about movies and books, they're there. They're waiting on the back burner because people want the truth out there and people want to know about John Africa. And so those kind of things are in the works. But right now the priority with us is getting to as many people as possible right now, letting them see the example of John Africa of strength by seeing us personally.
So,
We've spoke at churches.
Definitely. But I'm just offering myself we can do some music. I'd love to do some music. If you have any singers or any talented poets or whatever, and we can put it in like a rap form or hip hop form with this jazz, Afro beats, whatever. I would like to, whatever I could send my services on that angle, I would love to.
Oh, okay. Okay, just find a way to get in touch, and maybe something will come out of it.
all right.
Okay, caller.
I'll be in touch with Mike. So I'll reach out to Mike. But I have music, available, things of that sort. So
Okay.
try to get a few rappers that we have and all, and you can tell them like the focal point, and we go from there.
Okay.
All right.
We appreciate it, caller. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Love y'all. Blessings.
On the move.
Whew, on the
So,
move.
I have another question. At any time when you guys were incarcerated, did you think that there was a possibility that you'd never be released?
Well, you know what it is. We knew that their intention was never to release us. Their intention was for all of us to die in prison because they didn't kill us August 8th, 78. But our faith in John Africa and in the strategy of John Africa and what we were doing, we knew that we didn't know how long it would take, but we knew that they were not going to have their way. And it's just something that's just the faith that we have and that we knew and we know. And so we never felt hopeless. We never gave up because we knew that we were not going to be left in those prisons to die. They were not going to have their way.
Now, I did, before y'all came. I did reach out to former mayor Willie Wilson Good Sr. And asked him, would he like to be a part of it? And he said no, he was in a conference. But he did tell me to inform the audience that he did submit numerous proposals for y'all release. I don't know how true that was, but he did make it known because granted in the beginning, he never retracted, he never apologized. He made it clear that he would have dropped the bomb again. There was no remorse, and then I guess time had taken its toll, and he said that he had submitted numerous proposals to the parole board to have y'all released. So I did try to get both sides rather than one-sided. So I did reach out. He called me, and we spoke for a little bit, and he couldn't be here. So I did want to put that out there.
We spent 11 extra years in jail because they would always tell us we don't have any remorse,
Right.
even though there was no reason for remorse on our part. I don't hate him. He was wrong, though, and he knows he was wrong. Whether he apologizes or not don't really mean nothing to me. Now, from what I understand, he wrote letters to the parole board, but they don't care about him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Especially when he's not in power.
Yeah, they threatened him at the time. But, you know, a lot of times our people, they try to please their enemies. And they wind up doing things that inside they know they shouldn't. I know while in jail, as the time goes by, if you're not careful, you listen to what your enemies are telling you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I remember one time they told me and my brother Phil that we would never work outside. And okay, no problem. And then they asked me, well, if I put you out there, would you escape? I told him, yeah. Put me out there and I'm going to escape. Now that was my thinking. That wasn't John Africa's thinking. That was my thinking. Because at the time, I'm thinking that's what a person is supposed to do. And so, but there had been a strategy already put into effect. But the point I'm trying to make is that a lot of times you will have thoughts that go through your head that if you're not careful will lead you down the wrong road.
Mm-hmm.
We were told, don't worry about anything, just do your work and you'll come home. And that was all I needed to know. You know what I mean? So I did my best and stayed strong with the coordinator, John Africa, and here I am.
And I wanted to speak on the comment that she made about Wilson Good. Did you ever hear about guilt? He has to feel so guilty for what he did. You know, he murdered black people in a black neighborhood. He's the one that gave the nod, that gave the permission for them to drop that bomb and murder my daughter, murder my brother, murder my sister, murder my family. He's the one. You know, no matter how many proposals or whatever he writes for us, that is not going to wash away the blood off of his hands from our children, from our animals, from our family, because he did a thing that he didn't have to do. You know, they were misusing him because they were trying to elevate him so high. They wanted to use him as a possible run for vice president of the United States. So rather than him do what was right, see that Move wasn't guilty of no crime worthy of dropping a bomb and murdering innocent people. None of those people in that house, May 13th, had warrants on them. They didn't even have misdemeanor warrants on them. We had children in there. And they wanted to drop that bomb, and they had to go through him to do it. They had to ask him to do it. And he was the one that gave the nod to do it. So every Move person that was in that house on May 13th, 1985 is haunting him because he knows what he did was wrong. That is why he wrote for our parole and everything else, not because of anything that is right, because he's feeling so much guilt. You know how guilt makes you feel? It makes you want to do something that you feel like can make up for it. He could never, ever make up for what he did to our family on May 13th. And don't anybody ever think elsewise, because a lot of times people get confused and think because a politician does something that's seemingly good, they're doing it for a right reason. That's not why he did it. He didn't do it for a right reason. He tried to make up that guilt that he had done to us. I will never forgive Wilson Good for what he did. I will never, ever forgive him. And he will never forgive himself, because there's no way, he calls himself a religious man. There's no way that he could have done that and believe in the God that he believes in and feel justified in doing it. I mean, they used him as a black man, as a black mayor, to murder black children, black men and black women. How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel to know that you have a politician, a mayor, that could have said, no, don't drop that bomb, we'll just arrest him or whatever, like they usually do. But he's the one that gave the final nod.
And the thing that make it so bad is he met with our family when he was city manager director. And when he met with our family, he told our family, I know that the Move 9 got a raw deal. I know your family was railroaded. When I become mayor, I'm going to make it a point to open up investigation and do something about your family. But because he had those aspirations and they were in his ear making those promises to him, false promises to get him to go along with it, he did it. He sold his soul for a chance at a political position. And then when he did their dirty work for him, they dropped him like a hot potato. And then he was left with that lie, with that murder. And now he comes and do the very thing he promised our family he would do when he become mayor, do what he could to get us out of prison. That's what he gonna write these letters for our parole, because that's what he promised our family he would have did when he became mayor. But that's not going, like Jan said, that's not going to ease his soul. He's going to carry that with him to the next level. When he go on it, he's going to carry that with him. I don't care how many letters he write. Nothing he can do is going to take that off of him, and we're not going to help take it off of him.
Could you guys talk about the 11 years later after the bombing, when the city deemed that the police force, or the police used excessive force and awarded a $1.5 million settlement?
Well,
I remember Mona speaking on it, and Mona told him straight out, keep the money. Let my people out of the jail. You know what I mean? Edward Rendell, of course, took it someplace else, because they are so used to throwing money at us. They do what they do to you, then throw money, and you're supposed to be okay with that. Nah.
No, when they picked the jury, they picked the jury for May 13th, when Ramona came out, and that jury found them liable for the murder of our family. What do liable mean? Guilty?
Mm-hmm.
That same jury charged them, it was what they told the judge he should get, that each one of them, once a week, should come and turn over $11. This is their punishment for 11 years for the murders of our family. This is what these good people, so-called good people, what they did. And they would not allow them to use the word bomb. They had to say incendiary device. But it was outrageous, the fact that they said that. But the judge turned around and he said that those people had suffered enough and took the $11 away. Wilson Good, he was a part of, first when they did indictments, he was involved in it. He wrote a book called In Good Faith. And that book, he said exactly what my sister said, and that he was going to Arendelle, writing him letters and, telling him about what he found out factually, that our family didn't get a fair shake. At the point that they offered him the job for mayor, he stopped meeting with us. And during the time that he was city managing director, he helped did a lot of things, in there, and with us. But when that thing came up for him to be mayor, we never had another meeting with him. He never, returned any calls. And people need to know, when them neighbors first went to Wilson Good about what was happening between the neighbors and Move, they was going complaining about what the cops was doing to Move people. That's what they were complaining about. And being that, Wilson Good, they allowed the situation to go on, but Wilson Good is just no damn good. And to break it down, on a radio show WURD, he said that what they did to Move was wrong. He apologized. He said he was going to talk about it. And like my sister said, we don't need him. And the thing is his conscience. And that conscience ain't made. He said, I wrote some letters. We ain't seen him, okay? If he did, he did. But what about the fact that you said my family wasn't treated fairly? What about the fact that you sat there and said that what they did was wrong, and that you was going to do things to get these other people arrested? None of that happened. All he was doing, just like when he did that book, they backed up off him. They dropped his indictment. He wasn't a part of the people that was indicted. And what had happened when he said that he apologized, Curtis Jones, a black city councilman, wanted to name a street after him, and did name a street after him. And people was in such an uproar about it, and when people was talking about it, we demonstrated there. And the day they had all their cops and stuff there, and we demonstrated. And Curtis Jones, I don't know. And I do know he lived in a mansion, and people would do anything for money. And that's what he did. He said he did it for his friend. Wilson Good, if he was any kind of person, had any kind of remorse in him, he should have said, no, I'm not going to do that. But instead, he sat there, he accepted, because he talked about the thousands of, trophies and things that he got. He didn't have to do this, just like he didn't have to drop the bomb. Sister Maisha Sullivan, was almost arrested in her community. They started fights that were, not fist fights, but verbal fights going on back and forth in that community. And it's not over because people are not going to allow that sign to stay up there. This man talking about in good faith, and I'm with my sisters, and we say, we do not forgive him, never can forgive him, and and that whole thing that he did, was just a thing to try to ease his conscience. But he had to think about, just like them cops that they put in the house 6221 Osage, the neighbors was talking about how they would be in there and they'll start running out because their minds was all messed up. They saw Move people. They used to holler out that they saw a friend, he's coming down the street, and they start running and stuff. Wasn't nobody there. It was in their mind. They couldn't live with what the heck they did. And and these are stories that the neighbors, tell. And another thing about us and our neighbors, up on Osage, we like this. We knew that they was being used as pawns. When this whole thing came down, the only people that they could go to for help, when they allowed drugs to be set down, in the community, it was us. We was the ones who cared and came up there and dealt with them people. The government didn't. They didn't get them drug dealers off the corner. And our elderly, the youngest person that's in that block right now, is the same age as I am, 72, and they're older. They had hooked up a situation because they couldn't get them out the area, had drug people sitting there shooting up during the day. Shootings was happening in that block. They didn't do what they, claimed they was caring about, move people, and that it was a problem to move people in the neighborhood.
Philly Hot, you on the air? Talk to me.
How you doing? My name is Juju. I just wanted to comment and vouch on everything that Sister Pam was saying. I was a young child, and I used to play on the block for Birdie. Everybody on the block loved them. That was a whole setup about they were dirty and they would have this and that. They shared their food and their goodies with their children with us as much as every other parent. Wasn't nobody not letting us play with them and stay away from the move people. It was a lie. It's a whole complete lie by a law. I used to play in Birdie's hair. I used to play in the other children's hair. They used to, not like we were all children on that block. It's a lie. When they bombed that block, it was shocking. There wasn't no whole bunch of complaints. Not as far as I know as a child. And I'm vouching for that. We used to do shows and benefits for Mumi Abu Jamal. I was a lead singer in the group called JMB Strongarm. These are the most aggressively positive people I've met in my life, bringing things to the forefront. When they wanted to hold people that gave us injustice and did us wrong, they wanted to hold them accountable immediately. And so they wanted to persecute and penalize the movement. That's why it was the on the move movement. They were constantly on the move. Something went wrong, they were on the move. And even though I was a child, they just want to shut them down. As soon as they shut them down, everybody want to fall by the wayside. Nobody's on the move no more. But you had sisters like Pam still fighting. Ramona came home, she was still fighting.
There she was.
It gets me very emotional to know that they still want to try to minimize the situation. Absolutely, Wilson Good feels guilty. Absolutely. He had the power and authority to stop it. I urge the politicians now to come together because their views are still valid, so very valid to this day. I urge all politicians to come together and listen to this story so that we don't go in this vicious circle over and over again. We can't keep marching. When it's time to fight, we're going to be tired from marching. We have to stop now. I'm not saying arm and go slaughter everybody, but we have to clear the fields. We can't bloom and blossom as a beautiful black flower if we got all these weeds from within. Curtis Jones, people are it's worse than crabs in a barrel. You have the power and authority now, back when they didn't have it. So we have black people in positions now, elected officials. We have beautiful black runners that are willing to do the footwork if they don't have the office yet. They doing the footwork, so we have to link up. Excuse me for getting excited and hype about it, but everything that Sister Pam was saying is true. It's slander. It's gossip. I played on Osage Avenue. My address was 6147 Delancey Street. We went around there to play with the kids on purpose because Delancey Street was a family block with all the kids. They would make sure you didn't get hit by a car. We weren't playing in the street. We were playing in the alley. We have to raise up and rise up because the same issues are still going on. And it will be a vicious circle, but this time it will be less survivors. They're not going to put you in prison now. Now they're trying to put us in a box in the grave.
That's right.
Exactly.
We have to
Exactly.
change the narrative,
That's right.
become the narrative.
That's right.
And we got the power to do it.
And that's the thing,
We absolutely have the power.
May 13th hurts us to our heart. We will never forget it. But the thing
I
is,
thank you, caller, for calling in.
Thank you so much.
but the thing is we use that, turn it into strength and fire to keep fighting, because they held us in jail for 41 years, and every time we came up for parole, they denied us because they said we showed no remorse. But here you have officials that was found guilty of excessive force, admitted that they killed 11 people. 11 people admitted it, and like you said, I have no remorse. And they didn't spend one day in jail. They didn't get any repercussions behind what they did. But the thing is that makes us angry, but we also see it, that's an example that helped push people to get strong and more determined to fight, because that example is right in your face. Right in your face that that's right, I killed them and I don't care. But see, rather than let that dissuade us, we use that example to show people what you're dealing with and how you have to come together and fight to protect yourselves. Because if they would do that to move, you know what they're going to do to you, and it's going to be on your doorstep. And as you see it, if you look back and take notes of when all of those black shootings really started, it's escalated and started after May 13th. And people need to look at that, because that's how they feel. They feel like, you let us do this to move, we don't care nothing about y'all. And so, you know, people use that example to use it to fuel them so that you can see the injustice that's going on, and don't bow down to it, just be more determined to stand up to it and keep fighting.
So let me ask you this, because I know we have Mamiya. You are fighting very heavily to get him out. Much success to that. You know, I read that Krasner, quote unquote, allegedly found boxes of paperwork cleaning out his office, and he found some alleged paperwork. Hasn't been disclosed what it was, but for it to hit the news makes me think it could be something positive. Moving forward, what is your plans moving forward to try to get Mamiya free, and Dilbert and the rest of those that are incarcerated?
Right, I just want to say, because everybody look at me, you know, when you say Mamiya.
Because you
But
out
that was a coordinated activity by John Africa for all new people,
Mhm.
and we all have certain things that we're supposed to be doing. I'm one of the many in Moody, from the children on up, that, you know, do that work. I'm just one that you see up front, you know, but inside the prisons and on the outside, and our family, you know, work to protect Mamiya and, you know, other political prisons. But we're going to consistently doing the work because the evidence is clear. And we just had a 3-panel federal judge and judges who stated that the prison deliberately withheld medication and are trying to kill Mamiya. You know, when you withhold it, you know, I'm just adding the other part, but they don't say it straight out like that. But they was holding them accountable for that. Mamiya has a lawsuit in. Also dealing with his legal, a black judge, a black Republican judge by the name of Leon Tucker, after 2 years dealing with the case of Mamiya. And we was trying to get an appeal for him. Well, we were trying to get him out, but he came up with an appeal, and Kratzner blocked the appeal. And he blocked the appeal, and so much pressure was put on him behind, you know, what he had did, because everybody knew Mamiya Darnia died twice, you know, within a year inside that prison while they deliberately withheld the evidence. I mean, you know, the medical treatment, and lied and manipulated papers so that he couldn't get it. But Judge Tucker, went 2 years. He was on that case, and he called for the that Mamiya can get an appeal for a new trial. Right? Krasner blocks it, and when he did, all hell broke loose for Krasner. Then he came back and he said, this last week I confronted him, and he said that the reason why he did that, because if you did it, you know, like with Mamiya, he said there's thousands of other cases, and you know, and that would have, you know, blocked Mamiya. Crap. And you know, they said that with hepatitis C, Mamiya wound up getting hepatitis C cure, and other people did too. He was in a position, and you know, to actually, if it was right for Mamiya and other people had these same things, then why not? We wasn't there just for Mamiya, and we was for the other people that pertained to, you know, as well. So, you know, we're still pushing and gathering more and more support, and you know, the demand now is that he release Mamiya based on judicial and prosecutorial misconduct, and the examples is he just let 2 people go based on judicial and prosecutorial misconduct, and he should do the same for Mamiya. And you know, one thing he had said to me at one event we were at, he says, you know, Mamiya having all that notoriety and you know, around the world, I'm not impressed with that. And people don't get me wrong, Meek Mill, everything he's done for Meek Mill, he should be doing for Meek and other people too. But Meek Mill, he had a whole lot of, Jay-Z and all of them be in front of him. And when he was talking to him, he said, we can't talk with you because, it's a litigation in court. But Meek Mill was in court. It was a black judge, and she was 100% wrong in what she was doing to Meek Mill. And so was the judges who did Mumia that way, who did my family that way, because we put these cases before him, both cases. And he chose to ignore them, and he went with Meek Mill, and people tried to, cause a problem between us and Meek Mill. And he did it for Meek, and why shouldn't you need to go after Meek? We ain't going after Meek. We have our eyes on the prize.
That's right.
And you can't shake us, from here to there. Meek Mill does nothing, to help us. And he doesn't do anything to harm us. And like I said, we focus, and our target is Cranston, but we can use what happened to Meek Mill as an example.
Yes.
And you can't get around that. You want to tell us you can't deal with us because we got litigation in court. That was litigation in court. He talked about the judge. And had press conferences, went up to the DA, went up to see Meek Mill in prison, invited Sharpton and everybody else. The man, when he come out, they put a helicopter in.
They sure did in Chester, PA.
And took him there, and took him, to the game. I'm not knocking that for him, but you got a whole lot of other people in there that do that as well.
Agreed.
Yeah, I was kind of taken back when I seen that, because for about 2 weeks I watched about 5 buses ride around through South Philly. Actually, they rode around City Hall and came down through, and they were all pertaining to Meek Mills. And my thing was, I don't have an issue with Meek Mills. I don't know Meek Mills. I've never met him, but there are Meek Mills in every city, every state, who has done something worse than he, or allegedly done something, and who needs to be free. And what I couldn't understand was, you had celebrities that paid hundreds of thousands of dollars just for buses to ride around to free Meek Mills, protesters and rallies out to free Meek Mills. Y'all were Meek Mills. You're just the female version. He's a Meek Mills. Mamiya is a Meek Mills, but no one's out there rallying and protesting, marching with the picket signs and the buses for him. And I don't understand, why is Meek Mills, don't get me wrong, that important than the other person? Because I put that out on social media. I'm not going to name the state rep who responded, but his response was that we are out there. And I'm like, no, you're not. Because I'm out there and I don't see you protesting with the I don't see the banners. I don't see the chantings. I don't see this blocking the streets. I don't see that. And there are Meek Mills out here. And granted, when Meek Mills got released, there was a helicopter floating out of Chester. But I'm watching the people that were out there. I mean, the tons of people that were out there for him. And I'm like, yo, what about Mamiya?
Well, that's a thing that's been ingrained in everybody, that celebrity status, because we've seen people cry, really cry for a celebrity that passed away or got killed, and then their neighbor's child get killed, and it's just like, oh, you have my sympathy. Yeah. It's a shame, but that's what's been trained in the people. People look at celebrities and see them as more important than their own life. And it's just something that's hard to get past, and they're automatically treated different because they are celebrities and because they're rich. That's why they get to do the things they do. Like, a celebrity can ride down the street drunk as a skunk, get stopped by a cop, and when they find out who they are, oh, you make sure you get home safe. But when your average person do that, they're stopping you, they're impounding the car, you going to jail. That's just the way this society is, and that's why you had all them people come out for him and nobody coming out for Mamiya, who's losing his eyesight, having it taken from him. They're systematically killing him because they couldn't kill him with the death sentence.
And
I'm sorry, I was going to say, when Mamiya is free, that's when you will see all of the elected officials
Mhm.
coming around,
Mhm.
pretending that they were a part of the movement to get him out,
Mhm.
because they will get wind of when he will be released, and they
Mhm.
will contact you,
Mhm.
and they will
Mhm.
try to be, all in the pictures, and
Yeah,
I mean, because
yeah.
that's what it is. It's light cameras in action.
Mhm. Exactly.
Yeah, don't get us wrong either, because there has been and still is celebrities that work for Mumia, that has
Mhm.
worked for
Yeah.
Move, and some of them has fell to the wayside because a lot of times when people put their effort into supporting Move, this system shoots them down and try to stop their notoriety and everything else because they want to quiet them just like they want to quiet us. But those celebrities can be used for people that believe in them, because what they do, people that like them, if these people say, let's protect Mumia, come out for Move, those people that like those celebrities will come out on the face of that celebrity
Mhm.
and will show that support for Mumia and for Move, which is good. But what people need to understand, like Janine was saying, that case of celebrity was ingrained in us to treat them better than you treat people that you really know, and that is something that people need to really look at and examine with themselves. When something happens to a celebrity, somebody that's not even personally known by people, they will, break down, cry, have feelings for something that has no feelings for them, that they don't even know. And then somebody in the neighborhood, a brother that got shot by a gang member, he just got shot, and have no feelings for that. And people just need to learn their priorities and learn how that celebrity training is just a training for people to give their all to those people and nothing back to the people are fighting for them.
I've watched people from the East Coast fly to L.A., where Nipsey Hussle was gunned down, to take pictures in front of his mural, but won't go into their own community where their closest friend's son and daughter was murdered, and stand there and speak of the injustice. So as you guys are saying, you're so right. It's that celebrity lifestyle. It's just, even like if you're driving next to a car that is a luxury car, you like, you know what, let me let that car go in front of me.
Yeah.
But if it's a car,
Yeah.
if it's a car that's not luxury,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
almost ingrained in us.
Yeah,
to
well,
be
it
that.
is,
Yeah.
because that stuff starts as a child,
Yeah.
but it just shows you there's a lot of work that has to be done
Mhm.
with everybody. You can see it's a rough road. It's so much confusion and training in everybody that you see it's
Yes.
going to be a hard road, but it can be done.
It can be done.
And I want to say too that, we've had, Public Enemy,
Okay.
Rage Against the Machine. They stood toe to toe with this government. And the latest thing that Public Enemy did is when they had their first Made in America,
Mm-hmm.
and they had Public Enemy come in as the top billing, people, and and that was thousands and thousands of people during that 4th of July, weekend and stuff. And when they got on that stage, they not only, when they started, how their music go, fight the powers that
Yeah.
be, and they said Made in America, yeah, the bomb that they dropped on the Move family here, and was Made in America. And they went on into the history of Move. They talked about what was happening with Mumia. They talked about the school and the miseducation and things that was happening here. There are those who are not afraid to stand up. And they knew that that would be their only chance to do that, but they took that chance, and stood on that front line. When Rage Against the Machine, Most Def, Public Enemy, them did the Continental Arena,
Yeah.
they went on TV trying to stop it. They, they're doing this for cop killers. The tickets went on sale on a Monday, 60,000 seats.
So
And Tuesday afternoon, there was none. This government was so pissed, they lied, And I mean, they brought Howard Stern, the governor of Jersey, Christie,
Oh,
who was a woman, and yeah,
Christine Christie.
right. And they all
Christine.
came on air and telling their children not to go. They brought judges, they brought doctors. They all was telling their children not to go. And then they lied. They said it was 300 tickets turned in. Well, there was a concert on the inside, and when the people came there looking for them 300 tickets, it was a couple thousand people. It wound up being a concert on the outside. There's nothing that these people can do, and that's an example, because Rage Against the Machine is still going, and Public Enemy is still going. They got the Prophet of Rage, and all these people are still very supportive of Move and Mumia and what they did. And that one act that Rage and them did, it went around the world because they was battling and trying to close that concert down, saying that was telling the state troopers not to come there. That was against the law. Everything that they did was illegal, but people love Move.
So speaking of Move, let me ask you this one. There's somebody that wants to volunteer, they want to make a donation, they want to reach out, they want to be a part of the organization. How do they reach the organizer or you individually?
Well, we have a fundraiser thing up on what are they called? Like a GoFundMe.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. you
We
got
have
GoFundMe.
that, and then we have a mailing address where they could write to and express their feelings. Right now, the only address that they could get to right now is 4504 King Sesson Avenue.
Okay.
And your GoFundMe page.
Whoa, that's a long
Okay.
thing I have to.
Okay. All right.
But they
It's
can-
called Fundraiser, but Razor is spelled RAZER. Dot Janet and Janine.
Okay.
That
Okay.
was before Eddie came home.
Yeah, it's before Eddie came home.
Like
Thank
my
you for
brother.
being home, Mr. Eddie. Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
So before we close out, is there anything y'all would like to say? Anything y'all would like to share? Anything we didn't touch on that you want to let the audience know about?
Let me say something. One of the things that I tried to work on in the prison was with the young guys. So my information to these young brothers out here would be to remember who their real enemy is. This shooting and killing of each other, all they're doing is helping their enemy. The system that is causing them to feel that way is laughing. I mean, the young boy around the corner is killing somebody that lives down the street. They are helping their own enemy. So my thoughts to them would be, take your time and think. You know what I mean? That brother down the street is your friend if you'll let him. You know what I mean? Instead of trying to hurt him, try to join with him and do something good.
My word is to women, we are strong. We are very strong. And don't let anybody ever make you think that you're not. We have the same strength as our men. You know, sometimes because you see a man being able to lift 500 pounds when you can only lift 100, doesn't make our brother stronger than us. It makes us equal because for our size, we can do the same amount of work as a brother his size can do. We need brothers to lift our sisters up, to let our sisters know that they are strong, that they are equal, and treat our sisters as brothers, treat our brothers as sisters, and we all can be as one. I want to say, long live John Africa, free Mumia, free all political prisoners. On the move.
I have to say, never give up, no matter how hopeless things may seem. When you know that you're doing what's right, you have to stay on that path and just hold on and keep going, because the truth will always bring you through no matter what. And if you give up, then your situation is not going to change. And it can change, because MOVE is the evidence of that. Because these people told us we were going to do 100 years in prison. And we're sitting here now. It might have took 41, but we're here, we're strong, we're loyal, and we're ready to be the example for people to follow, to help give direction. And I just want to make a correction on that fundraiser.
Okay.
It's fundraiser.com/Janet-Janine. All right? And just everybody stay strong. Don't give up hope. MOVE is the vanguard. We did this knowing what we'd have to face, and we did this so that y'all could have an example to look to, that you could trust and use it. Long live John Africa.
Okay, I just want to say long live John Africa. I want to thank Sister Sonia and the co-host brother
Fareed.
Fareed,
Yes.
brother Fareed, and for setting up a situation where we can put this much needed information out. And long live John Africa. The power of truth is final.
On the move.
On the move.
Oh, and I want to say thank you, Mr. Fareed, for coming on. I greatly appreciate it. I thank y'all for coming out here.
Thank you for having us.
And come back anytime.
Oh yeah, I'm running for city council at large.
And we're all.
I had on my